Hey friends, hello, happy Tuesday. It is time for another episode of Tuesday Tea with Mandy B. And so here we are. I have a different mug today. Somebody commented last week that I always have a different mug. If you have seen the mug collection that I have in my house, I could go more than a year's worth of weekly videos and never use the same mug twice. This one from the Today Show. We watch the Today Show every morning here at our house. And it was from one of our trips that we did over Thanksgiving. We went to New York City when we were living up in Pennsylvania. We were able to go over, watch the Macy's parade, and we met Al Roker at the Today Show. So that's where that mug came back from, was on a trip to New York City. I am drinking a fruit tea this morning called Berry Mania, and it is delicious. So happy Tuesday. Welcome to another episode. I'm so glad you're here. Let me know in the comments that you're here. I'd love to know whether you're live or watching the replay. I love getting to connect with you guys through this video series. My episode today is about some tips for how to make healthy living a little bit easier. So we all have so many things going on in our lives. We have so many pieces of our lives that we're juggling, and adding on like the stress of having to eat healthy and exercise, it's a lot. And so I have just a few back to basics tips for us today. These are things that I still have to remind myself of. Dreama just decided to join us there. I just try to go back to these basic tips and think about ways that I can make it easier on myself in the long run. As we're coming up to the start of school, I know that sounds crazy because it's still kind of the middle of July, but it seems like all the school supplies are out and we're starting to start thinking about August, and our kids here in Texas go back to school before the middle of August. And so less than a month, we're going to be back in school. And all of those routines and things start nagging at me, packing lunches and having dinner ready with a balance of all the sports and band events that we have here at our house. And so any way that we can make healthy living easier, I think is a win for everyone all around. So I just want to talk about a couple of things that can take some of the effort and adjustment out of those habits that we're trying to build as we're trying to incorporate some of those healthy eating and healthy living practices in our lives. So the first tip is to shop ahead. Now, this sounds silly because we all know that shopping ahead is important. But when I slip away from this practice, it gets away from me, and that's when I find myself driving through the drive-through. So we all know that eating healthy is really important, but not everyone knows exactly how to do it. So part of that problem may be taking the time to cook a nutritious meal. I am horrible in the kitchen. If you've been around for a minute, you know that I am not a great cook. And I will just about use any excuse to get out of cooking dinner. And so when I have shopped ahead and I have a plan, and we're going to talk about that in a minute, it can make it a little bit easier. So with a little bit of planning and preparation, it's possible to eat well without spending hours in the kitchen. I'm all for those quick meals that we can put together, especially, when you're running between, for us, it's marching band practice and football games and all of the things that go along with marching band in the fall, and my daughter's tennis and percussion, all the things that we balance in our family, and then trying to get dinner on the table, trying to get everyone in the same location to have dinner on the table is actually a miracle. But if we can shop ahead of time, that can take one of those stressors off of our plates. We don't have to stop by the grocery store if we, realize you forgot an ingredient. So if you take the time to shop for those healthy ingredients in advance, you're going to save yourself time, and bonus, it actually saves money in the long run. If you're a spontaneous shopper like me, you know that all of those last minute things that they try to get you to buy at the grocery store are tempting. And so I always end up buying more than I planned on when I make those last minute spontaneous trips to the grocery store. So the next time you're wondering how to eat healthy on your busy schedule that we all have, just remember that that little bit of planning in advance can really go a long way. And some of the most nutritious foods that you can actually shop ahead for are some of those, like looking in the meats section. We do a lot of salmon and shrimp and seafood in our house. We try to eat that at least a couple of times a week. eggs and dairy, and of course your produce. Now, produce is tricky because it doesn't last as long, but especially those meats when you can get up on sale and put them in the freezer, you're shopping ahead, and then you've got your meals that you can plan around that. Tip number two goes right along with that, and that's building out a meal plan. So when you have that plan in place, then you have less of that temptation to either go through the drive through or eat cereal for dinner, which we've done multiple times here in our house. Maybe you've been guilty, like me, of mindless eating on those unhealthy foods just because it's convenient. Those packaged processed foods. We've all done it when we have that temptation of I just don't want to cook anything. Let's just heat up a box of macaroni and cheese. Not to vilify macaroni and cheese because there are lots of great times and reasons to eat that. But if we can make it from scratch instead of out of a powdered box, um, that's a great win. If I'm really being honest, I'll tell you that there are entire days when all we eat is fast food. We are constantly on the go. We're a busy family. And I just don't want to mess with cooking, or we're on the road, we're traveling, and so all we've eaten that day is fast food. But when I get back to my planning and prepping, it saves me so many times. It makes such a world of difference when it comes to eating healthy. So if you can even go a step further from planning and actually prep that food ahead of time, one of the things that really saves me is when I come home from the grocery store and I've got all that produce. If I prep it ahead of time, wash it, containerize it, however I'm going to put it together, and have it ready to go, chopped up and portioned if it's something that I know I'm going to be using for a recipe later, portioning out those ingredients ahead of time, it's going to lessen that temptation for us to fall back on those unhealthy or processed foods. So meal prepping can also end up saving you not just time but money as well, just like shopping ahead of time. So if you can kind of place a few core foods in your meal plan for the week, maybe you choose to do a chicken week or a beef week, and you've got that prepped ahead of time, and you're going to do chicken, 3 different meals, 3 different ways, and you prep the chicken ahead of time, you've got it ready to go. There's just it's that one mental step that you don't have to take when you're in that zone of, oh, should we just drive through Panera on our way home? That's my weakness. I love their salads. But if you'll pre-proportion it, package it in some sealed containers, put it in the fridge, then you've got it. I also like to do that for the kids to grab snacks. I find that they're a lot more willing to grab a celery stick if I've chopped it up and put it in a container, or if I've already, peeled the kiwi and sliced it and it's just ready. They can grab it. It's that one less step. They're going to reach for a healthier snack if it's been prepped ahead of time. And then just don't forget water. That's a little bonus tip in here. Don't forget the hydration. Take a bottle of water with you. That's another step that I find if I have my hydro flask with me, I'm so much less likely to drive through for a diet soda in the afternoon. That used to be such a big temptation for me. Now I love my fruit tea in the afternoon, my iced fruit tea. But if I have that water bottle with me and I've got, like, we have places all over campus that you can fill it up, or if I'm driving around, playing the chauffeur to all of my kids' activities, I'm so much less likely to drive through Sonic if I've got that water bottle with me. So again, it's just prepping and being that planning just a little bit ahead of time. The third tip for you is to think about identifying some of your poor choices. And by your, I mean us. I'm not singling any choice out. I'm guilty of this as well. So we know that to be our best selves, we really need to look at a holistic view of our health and wellness. And so that's not just one particular habit. We know we need to eat right. We need to stay hydrated. We need to keep our bodies moving and active. We also have to think about the poor choices that we make sometimes. And what we put in our bodies is an important thing for us to think about. So steering clear of things like processed foods and sugary drinks, and then even thinking about like alcohol. Moderation is key in some of those areas. If you completely can't give up your sugary drinks, then maybe cutting back on them a little bit and just kind of weaning yourself off, or switching if it's a full sugar soda, maybe switching to a diet and then trying to wean yourself off from that eventually too. I was able to do that again, like I said, by drinking my fruit tea in the afternoon. That was my savior for getting me off of diet soda. But processed foods are something we struggle with a lot here in our house. We do a lot of quick turnaround meals that we don't have to prep from scratch. So these are the steps that I actually go through. I have to keep reminding myself week after week after week that it's worth it to do the meal planning and the menu prepping and all of that prep work ahead of time. I just keep thinking about all the time it's going to save me down the line when I get that all ready to go. And of course, all of those things we can have in moderation. All of those tricky decisions that if you want to have your alcohol with dinner, if you want to have a glass of wine, we're always keeping those things like processed foods and the sugary drinks in moderation. Fourth tip, final tip today, is thinking about hiring a coach. A nutritionist, some kind of nutrition coach, is a great option that you can build into your plan. It's no secret that living that healthy lifestyle that we want is tough. If it wasn't hard, everybody would do it and it wouldn't be such a struggle. There's just so many things to keep track of, from healthy eating to when you're working out, how much sleep are you getting, how much stress do you have in your life. So hiring a coach could be a tool to help you stay on track. A coach can help provide support and accountability, helping you stick with your long-term goals. They can offer advice and guidance on how to make healthier choices, not just with your nutrition, but also overall in that holistic kind of approach to your wellness. And so maybe think about hiring a coach to help you in those stretchy bits when you're trying to build those new habits. Sometimes having someone right there in your accountability corner is a great thing. So I know for some people, living a healthy lifestyle seems effortless. They make it look really, really easy. Others, like me, we struggle a little bit to keep those habits and to keep up with that healthy living. And so it turns out that making healthy living easy is about creating those habits and really thinking about planning and prepping ahead of time and using those as tools to help you overcome that mental battle of, oh, I don't want to cook dinner. Let's just go order pizza, or let's just drive through. But I've got this. This food is prepped and ready. It'll take me just a few minutes to turn it around and get it ready for dinner or for breakfast, whatever it happens to be. So here's just all we wanted to talk about today were a few simple tips for making healthy living easier as we all struggle with balancing all of the things we have going on in life. So give them a try. Let me know what you think. And if you have any other tips about making your healthy living and your healthy life easier, I would love to hear them in the comments. I do have 5 free blood sugar friendly recipes if you're interested in those. You don't have to be diabetic to have blood sugar friendly foods. There's some great delicious foods in that recipe booklet. So if you'd like those, it is either linked in my comments or you can find it in my bio. But I hope you have a great Tuesday. Thanks for joining me for another episode of Tuesday Tea with Mandy B. Bye for now.